Hello and welcome to Sports News Africa, the home of Africa's sporting conversation. Here's a quick roundup of some of the stories making headlines today. Ghana is contesting the disqualification of its under-17 national team by CAF. Could it be third time lucky for Nigeria? Stephen Keshi could return as coach. And Kenya's hopes to host the IAAF Championships in 2017 could be dashed. Thank you for joining us on Sports News Africa with me, Temeskin Debesai. The Council for East and Central African Football Associations, CAF, had announced in April this year that the 2014 Senior Challenge Cup would be held in Ethiopia. That tournament was due to begin next Tuesday, but it looks very highly unlikely that it will go ahead as scheduled. Sports News Africa sources understand that Ethiopia could be on the verge of withdrawing from hosting the tournament, citing lack of adequate preparations as the reason. Well, joining us on the line now is Nicholas Misonye, Secretary General of CAF. Now, as things stand, Mr. Misonye, Ethiopia seems to be inclined towards pulling out of hosting the Senior Challenge Cup less than a week before the tournament is scheduled to take place. Is there any official word out of Addis Ababa about where things stand at the moment?
Yes, we have received a communication from Addis Ababa. Ethiopia have notified us that they are not able to host the competition. We as CAF, we had anticipated this because after we had discussed with them for many days, for many months, their response was not very positive. So we have taken it that officially they are pulled out, and we are talking to Sudan to take over the competition. If that is going to be possible, we will look at the dates and see how to suit it with the Sudan arrangement.
Now, there is a lot of concern about the spread of Ebola, which has mainly affected parts of West Africa. Is it really a lack of preparation on the part of Ethiopia? Or perhaps do you think that the Ebola crisis might have something to do with it?
Possibly. I do feel that like many countries in Africa where there is a fear of Ebola, this could be one of the reasons. But according to the Ethiopia affair, the main reason why they are pulling out is because they have so many domestic competitions they have to cater for. But as you rightly say, Ebola is really affecting most parts of Africa, and most especially West Africa. This could be one of the reasons why they might have pulled out. And they are maybe hiding on the fact that they have many domestic problems and engagements to undertake. However, as I've said before, we are moving forward. We look for an alternative host, and we shall organize our competition. If things stand out the way we are talking to Sudan, everything should move right.
The question now, especially for CAF, the Confederation of African Football, is that if the venue for this tournament is moved away from Ethiopia, or if it gets postponed, does that not set a precedent for CAF to also consider Morocco's request for the Africa Cup of Nations to be shelved, or at least for the immediate future?
I don't think so. We as a CAF, we have our own program, and the CAF have their own program. These are not related much. Although this is Africa, we are the same continent, and the CAF competition, it has nothing to do with the CAF. Morocco has their own, they have got their own issues which they have raised with our mother body CAF, and the CAF is handling it at that level. For this one, ours of CAF, we will also deal with it regionally. I don't think they are related. And the reasons from both Morocco and Ethiopia are not the same. They are very different.
Mr. Misonye, thank you for speaking to Sports News Africa. To Ghana next, and fans there are not happy with the decision to disqualify the country's under-17 national side from taking part in the tournament in Niger. CAF handed down the ban against the Black Starlets after Ghana's Football Association was accused of fielding an ineligible player in the qualifier against Cameroon. Ghana's football authorities are contesting the decision by CAF.
Prove it with evidence and with facts is the message Ghanaians are passing to the Confederation of African Football CAF following the recent disqualification of their under-17 team, the Black Starlets, from the 2015 championship. Ghana has been among the top contenders for the tournament scheduled for Niger early next year, but now that could be a pipe dream. Fierce rivals Cameroon raised the red flag on Ghana during the qualifiers, claiming the Black Starlets had fielded 7 overage players, prompting CAF to run medical tests on the players. On Monday, CAF ruled that out of the 7 players fingered by Cameroon, only 1 had failed the age test and axed Ghana out of the tournament. However, the verdict has not gone down well in Ghana and has been strongly disputed by the Ghana Football Association. Nuruddin Ahmed, assistant coach to the Black Starlets, felt betrayed by CAF.
Somebody's credibility here is at stake, and we believe that the man who did the job, he did his work well, and then he will not like to do anything that will undermine his capabilities. And if, for whatever reason, CAF believe that what he has done is wrong, then they have to prove it with evidence and with facts.
Ghana is arguing that it carried out 2 MRI tests on all players, one in the presence of a CAF medical officer, and the results indicated that they were all well within the age category. But soccer fan Laveis Chawe is a bit suspicious of Ghana's argument.
It is happening all over Africa. Somebody can just change his passport, and if the person is 30 years, he can make it 20 years and nothing happens. In the foreign countries, you can't do that.
The Black Starlets beat Cameroon in 2 legs to qualify for next year's tournament. Ghana Football Association has appealed the axing with CAF Appeals Committee, but has so far not received any answers.
Next, we go to Nigeria, and 2 stories that seem to be running on a loop as far as Nigeria is concerned are the country's Football Federation saga with FIFA, and then you have Stephen Keshi. Yes, apparently Stephen Keshi could be making a comeback for the 3rd time to coach the Super Eagles. And if the story circulating are to be believed, the veteran coach's possible reinstatement comes with a presidential seal of approval. Keshi, who steered the Super Eagles to Africa Cup of Nations glory in 2013 and the knockout stage of this year's World Cup finals, was sacked on October the 16th after a string of poor performances. But several senior officials at the Nigeria Football Federation have revealed that President Goodluck Jonathan had ordered Keshi be reinstated and given a contract. Should that happen, he would be on the bench for Nigeria's next Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Congo and South Africa in November. It was reported that Keshi was in talks on Thursday with Sports Minister Tammy Danagogo and did not know of a presidential intervention. He is reported to have said that if asked, he could not refuse. The 52-year-old coach had earlier refused to comment on speculation that he could be reinstated, with a power struggle for leadership of the NFF rumbling on. New NFF boss Amaju Pinnick sacked Keshi and his coaching staff soon after his appointment last month, adding that the hunt was on for a foreign coach. Jonathan is said to have met Pinnick and Chris Giwa, who briefly led the NFF in August, at the presidential villa in the capital Abuja on Wednesday night. One senior official is believed to have said that Keshi was already back as Nigeria coach and that he would be the one to lead the Super Eagles against Congo and South Africa next month. In a separate NFF statement released on Thursday, caretaker coach Shaibu Amodu said Keshi should be allowed to take charge for the last 2 AFCON qualifiers. He said the executive committee should reconsider as he did not have enough time to prepare for the games. Nigeria will play Congo-Brazzaville away on November the 15th and will host South Africa 4 days later. They need to not only win both matches, but beat Congo by a margin of 2 away goals to stand any chance of automatic qualification for the finals in Morocco next year. Welcome back to Sports News Africa. Algerian club Entente Setif, dismissed by some of its own officials as not being good enough to win the 2014 CAF Champions League, are poised to lift the trophy this Saturday. A 2-2 draw at the Kinshasa ground of Congolese side AS Vita Club last Sunday has tilted the balance towards Setif in a contest between former title holders. It is 41 years since Vita won this competition when it was called the African Champions Cup. Setif then won it 15 years later. Entente boasts a proud home record in the Champions League since a 1987 debut, winning 20 matches, drawing 5, losing 1, and keeping 18 clean sheets. But the battle for the $1.5 million prize money for winning the tournament and a place at the 2014 FIFA Club World Cup in Morocco means AS Vita Club will not go away without a fight. Earlier in the week, we had spoken to African football journalist Mo Ali and had asked him to give his reaction after AS Vita equalized close to full time for the first leg in Congo to finish 2-2. Here's what Mo had to say.
Well, what a cracking goal it was that was scored by Lema Mabidi to equalize 30 meters out and 14 minutes from time. It certainly does give them a chance because it's better to go to Algeria with a 2-2 draw rather than with a 2-1 defeat. So they have given themselves a chance, but it's going to be very, very difficult given that the Algerians, Anton Satif, have scored 2 away goals, which are vital. It in effect means that AS Vita have to beat Anton Satif or score a 3-3 draw, then they will advance on the away goals rule. And in their favor, though, is that they haven't lost to North African opposition in the group stages. They beat Zamalek of Egypt in the group stages, so they do have a good record against North African sides playing in North Africa. But the way the Algerians played in this game in the first leg in the DRC makes them favourites. But it could also lull them into a false sense of complacency, thinking that they've done the hard work and now that they're at home, they just need to go through the motions. So they need to guard against complacency, and it's happened before where a team that's drawn their home game have gone on to win the away leg or draw the away leg and take the game into a penalty shootout. And there is a bit of history that AS Vita can call upon to motivate themselves. It's been done before by Al Ahly. It's been done by Etoile de Sahel before. So it's certainly not beyond the realms of possibility that they could go on and win the game, but it's going to be a very, very difficult task for them to do that.
Kenya's bid to host the 2017 IAAF World Youth Championship could be derailed by a lack of preparation and financial support. The failure by the organisers to submit crucial documents for the bid on time could also add to the country's woes.
Kenya's athletic pedigree is likely to be the key influence in the decision by the IAAF 2017 Championship Bidding Committee, sports analysts in the country have said. Kenya and the USA are the only 2 countries bidding to host the 2017 IAAF World Youth Championships. Athletics analyst Mutuili Mutuota believes Kenya is the rightful host of the event.
There is a high likelihood that this event will be given to Kenya simply because of her pedigree in athletics. If you go to any IAAF event, the so-called World Athletic Series, we have the cross-country, we have the World Championships, we have the World Relays, we have anything apart from race walking. Kenyan athletes are the ones who come to spice up those events.
Having hosted several regional athletics events in the past, with the most recent being the Africa Athletics Championships in 2010, Kenya's chances to host the youth event appear high. Mutuota said allowing Kenya to host the event will serve in the interest of...
It has also served the interest of the IAAF to spread the sport around the world. We have the Cali, Colombia, holding the next year's World Youth, for instance, in 2015. That is in the South Americas. We have now bring the event back to Africa, the 2017 World Youth. It is going to share the athletics cake and spread it around every other country, every other region in the continent to make it as the global sport that it is. And I think that is why it is very, very important for this event to be held in Africa and particularly in Kenya.
Kenya has 2 major stadiums in the capital, Nairobi, where the games are likely to be held, but these will need preparation.
The city is ready to host the event, and the other logistics that are not in place will be put in place at that time. So in terms of readiness, if this AK is given, or Kenya is given the rights to host the 2017 World Youth Championships, everything is in place to hold a very successful tournament if 2010 in Nairobi is anything to go by.
Athletics is Kenya's golden goose, and for the past 50 years, the East African nation has produced world record-breaking long-distance athletes who continue to dominate the global scene. Mutuota explained that hosting the event would spur even more youths in the country to take up athletics.
This is also an event that is going to inspire a lot of youth in this country by seeing fellow youth coming from all over the world to come and run in their shows, and seeing the future of future stars. Because if we can go back, people like Usain Bolt, people like David Rudisha, people like Now we have people like Alfred Kikwete, Faith Chemgetich. All of them had their first breakout at the World Youth Championships. And now when it is held here in Kenya, we shall have an opportunity to see the future stars.
Ukraine was the last host of the Youth World Championships in 2013, while Colombia will host the Games in 2015 in Cali. In July this year, USA hosted the World Junior Championships in Oregano.
Staying with athletics, this Sunday, the last marathon major of the year takes place in New York. Kenyan runners are hoping to be on top of the podium for the third time in a row, after winning in Chicago and Berlin before that. Wilson Kipsang, who won this year's London Marathon and who for much of the calendar year was also world record holder, is due to run in New York. He lost his record to compatriot Dennis Kimeto, who created a new world record in Berlin, and says there will be no stopping the Kenyan team. A Kenyan victory would mean they have won 5 of the 6 events this year, with only Boston eluding them.
Yeah, my expectations in the forthcoming New York Marathon is that I know it will be a very tough race. It will be my first time competing there, but I think I'm really looking forward to run a good time and to go for a win. Yes, that is my main target.
Wilson Kipsang, he normally performs. He's a performance and he's a sports guy. So come on Sunday, definitely, he must break his own record.
I know the record of Wilson Kipsang. He's an elite runner, and I believe this time round he's even going to break his own record because he's a tireless hero in the marathon and he's not going to let us down unless otherwise, but I know he's going to make it.
Welcome back. South Africa has this past week lost 3 sporting personalities in the space of 3 days. The country held a joint memorial service for all 3 at the Standard Bank Arena in Johannesburg on Thursday. Here's a report I filed earlier for Sports News Africa. Thousands of South Africans jammed into a Johannesburg sports stadium Thursday to celebrate the life of South African football captain Senzo Meyiwa, whose murder during a robbery has stunned the nation. Decked in the colours of the national team of Meyiwa's club, the Orlando Pirates, and rival clubs, fans rubbed shoulders with government ministers and sporting luminaries to mark the loss of their 27-year-old talismanic captain. In the stands, they chanted, danced, and sang, "There is no one like him," reprising anti-apartheid struggle songs in Meyiwa's name. Love is stronger than death, a pastor told the crowd before a rousing version of the national anthem. Meyiwa was shot dead last Sunday when burglars broke into his pop star girlfriend's home some 30 kilometers south of Johannesburg before making off with a cell phone. More than 17,000 people were killed in South Africa last year, but the slaying of a popular sporting hero has stunned even this crime-weary nation.
He was, to our kids, he was a hero. You know, and, our kids looked up to him a lot. And especially now, we were looking forward because now he was coming up, you know. We were seeing the talent coming up out of him. So I feel that he has been robbed. I'm still emotional. I was telling one of the ladies here that now it's just like the reality has come, you know. This is the reality, you know. Yeah, it's really happening.
You know, they bear the flag for South Africa wherever they went. It's a very sad loss to our nation because they were very great sportsmen, and to know that they died just consecutively, it just makes me wonder, but it's a very sad loss. Most of us won't be able to attend the funeral, especially of all 3 of them, because we're not based where they are, so this is the least we could do. This is the furthest we could have come to saying goodbye.
Pindili Molasi, a female boxer, died after spending 2 weeks in a coma following a bout. And world 800-meter champion Buleni Malodzi died in a car crash a week ago. On Thursday, police denied that they had arrested 2 people in connection with Meyiwa's killing, but a manhunt continues. LeBron James struggled from the start in his first game with Cleveland in 4 years, and the New York Knicks ruined the megastar's emotional homecoming on Thursday. LeBron James looked nervous on making his first appearance back in the colors of the Cavaliers, and the Knicks took full advantage of the occasion and what it meant to James. To the English Premier League next, and what a difference a week makes. Newcastle will host Liverpool in the early lunchtime kickoff on Saturday, and Alan Pardew's men go into this game on the back of 2 consecutive wins. They came from behind to beat Tottenham away in the Premier League last week and followed that with a 2-0 win over Manchester City to knock them out of the Capital Cup the Capital Cup. Meanwhile, in a reverse of fortunes, Manchester City have now lost 2 matches in a row, including their 2-1 defeat at West Ham last week. And City's next fixture sees them host the derby when Manchester United go to the Etihad Stadium on Sunday. Here's a quick look at all the games coming up at the weekend. And that's the end of Sports News Africa for today. We'll see you next time when we have more stories out of Africa and elsewhere. Bye for now.